Why Great Britain is falling. A detailed analysis. Great Britain's decline from its former position as a global leader is attributed to several interconnected factors. In my view, economic struggles, cultural shifts, contentious debates on gender identity, the suppression of free speech, and broader political instability are some of the key contributors. The high cost of living, stagnation of wages, and post-Brexit uncertainties have led to economic distress, while cultural changes and increased political correctness have sparked debates on national identity. Additionally, concerns over free speech and ideological conformity have created tensions regarding open discourse. The following sections explore these concerns in depth. On my recent trip to London, I was left in disbelief at what I have seen, what I experienced. England doesn't look like the land of William Carey when the land was deeply rooted in religious conviction, moral responsibility, and a shared national identity. Alright, let's talk about something that's hitting every household in Britain: the cost of living crisis. If you're feeling like your paycheck isn't stretching as far as it used to, you're not alone. Britain has become one of the most expensive places to live, and for many, keeping up with rising costs has become an everyday struggle. So, what's actually happening? Let's break it down. Britain has become increasingly expensive for the average citizen, with skyrocketing housing prices, rising inflation, and escalating costs of everyday goods. Despite these financial burdens, wages have failed to keep pace, making it harder for the working and middle classes to maintain a comfortable standard of living. A limited supply of affordable housing combined with high demand, particularly in major cities, has driven up property values. Many properties are purchased for investment purposes, often by foreign buyers, further inflating costs and making homeownership unattainable for many citizens. Global supply chain disruptions caused by events like COVID-19 and the Ukraine conflict have led to shortages and price increases. Rising energy costs have placed additional strain on households and businesses, exacerbating inflation. The aftermath of Brexit has led to reduced trade, currency volatility, and regulatory shifts, contributing to economic stagnation. Investors and businesses remain uncertain about Britain's long-term economic prospects. Government efforts to control deficits have resulted in reduced public services, affecting healthcare, education, and welfare programs. Many citizens now bear increased personal costs for essential services. Alright, let's get into one of the most heated topics in Britain today: political correctness and cultural shifts. Some say Britain is evolving for the better, embracing inclusivity and progress. Others argue that it's losing its identity, suppressing free speech, and silencing traditional values. So what's really going on? Let's break it down.
There is a clear connection with post-Soviet revolutionary talk, in the sense that if you correctly interpret historical events, then the revolution will be successful. That does seem to have resonances today in the way people use the term, as in towing the political line. If you go forward a few years, in Stalinist times, it was very, very important to be able to toe the political line, which is where you get this sense that sometimes people say things that they don't necessarily believe, but if you want to avoid an extended stay in a salt mine, it would be the politically correct thing to say.
I argue that political correctness has restricted open debate, discouraging the discussion of controversial but important topics. It's becoming more transparent that self-censorship has become prevalent, limiting intellectual diversity and the free exchange of ideas. I believe that progressive cultural movements have sidelined Britain's historical values of pragmatism, stoicism, and unity. The increasing focus on identity politics has, in the eyes of critics, divided society into competing ideological groups rather than fostering a shared national identity. Universities, media, and corporations have been accused of enforcing ideological conformity, promoting a narrow range of acceptable views. Policies and cultural initiatives that favor certain perspectives over others contribute to perceptions of societal imbalance. Let's talk about one of the most controversial and divisive debates in Britain today: transgender rights. Some see the growing recognition of trans identities as a step toward inclusivity and progress. Others believe the rapid changes in laws, language, and policies are happening too fast, without enough discussion. So how is this impacting Britain on this issue? Let's break it down. The rapid evolution of transgender rights and gender recognition laws has become a contentious issue. These policies have been implemented without considering the roots of the nation or long-term consideration of their societal impact, and they are far away from the foundations of what Great Britain stood for. Schools, workplaces, and sports organizations have had to adapt quickly to new gender identity policies, sometimes leading to legal and ideological conflicts. Concerns have been raised about the balance between inclusivity and maintaining established norms in competitive sports, education, and legal classifications. Many argue that expressing alternative views on gender identity can result in being labeled as bigoted or transphobic, effectively silencing dissenting opinions. This dynamic has intensified the broader debate about Britain's commitment to open discourse. Alright, let's talk about something that's fundamental to democracy: free speech. Is Britain still a country where people can express their thoughts openly? Or are we living in an era where saying the wrong thing can get you cancelled, silenced, or even fired? Let's break it down.
Is free speech under threat in the UK? With the rise of so-called non-crime hate incidents, arrests over grossly offensive memes, and the government's online safety bill threatening to clamp down on social media posts, can you really speak your mind in 21st century Britain? To find out, I spoke to Harry Miller, a former police officer who has had several run-ins with the law over supposedly offensive online posts. Harry Miller, your name has become synonymous with people who have been dealt with the police because of their offensive tweeting. Can you explain to viewers exactly what's happened to you recently and also in the past in your relationship with the police?
They came to me because I tweeted about gender-critical content. I'd famously retweeted what they described as a limerick. It wasn't a limerick, it was a piece of feminist doggerel. Nevertheless, somebody, don't know who they were, they decided that this had caused them great offence, and they contacted Humberside Police, and Humberside Police then contacted me. Essentially what they said was that even though I'd committed no crime, if I continued not committing crime, that could in some weird way escalate to crime.
Many believe that Britain's cultural and political climate discourages viewpoints that challenge progressive ideologies. Cancel culture and social media backlash created an environment where individuals fear expressing their true opinions. We are seeing anyone who brought awareness or had the opportunity to freely raise concerns have been jailed. Academia, the media, and government policies are accused of promoting ideological conformity. Individuals and organizations that express non-mainstream views often face repercussions, including professional and social criticism. A climate where certain topics are deemed off-limits can hinder progress in scientific research, literature, and the arts. Businesses and thought leaders may be reluctant to engage in discussions that could invite controversy, limiting the nation's competitive edge. Okay, we've talked about the economy, culture, and free speech, but now let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Britain isn't just dealing with one crisis. It's facing a perfect storm of political mismanagement, social division, and global instability. So, is Britain really in decline, or is this just a rough patch? Let's break it down. Critics argue that recent government policies have weakened Britain's economic stability and international influence. Brexit, austerity measures, and shifting global alliances have altered Britain's place on the world stage. The combination of economic hardship, cultural divisions, and contested national identity has led to decreased public confidence in the government and national institutions. Britain's former sense of shared purpose and global leadership is seen by some as diminishing. So, after everything we've talked about, the cost of living crisis, political instability, cultural division, woke and trans ideologies, free speech concerns, and Britain's changing global position, the big question is, how did Britain end up here and can it recover? Great Britain's perceived decline is not the result of a single issue but rather a confluence of economic hardships, rapid cultural shifts, ideological debates, and political instability. These elements collectively contribute to a weakening of national unity and a decline in global influence. However, supporters of progressive changes counter that these shifts reflect an evolving society striving for inclusivity and fairness rather than a downfall. The debate over what defines Britain's greatness remains deeply complex and contentious. In my view, Britain is indeed on a decline, and I look forward to the rise of a capable and visionary leader who is deeply committed to safeguarding the nation's future. True leadership goes beyond mere governance. It requires foresight, integrity, and the ability to unite people toward a common goal. A strong leader must not only address present challenges but also lay a foundation for long-term prosperity and stability. But what do you think? Is Britain truly falling, or are we just witnessing a turning point? Is this the beginning of the end, or could there be a start of something new? I want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep this conversation going. And if you want more deep dives on some of the biggest issues we are facing, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Thank you.